So, Toni Hopponen, my friend, how are you today? Thank you for joining me on this Tech Traction series. And interesting times we're getting you on the call, so I'm sure that we're going to have an interesting conversation. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you? And thanks for having me in the interview.
It's a pleasure, a pleasure. So these days we're logging in from anywhere we can, right? So I'm in my room in Bali where we're in quasi lockdown. Where are you
Yep.
calling in from?
Yeah, I'm in London. I'm in a 14-day quarantine or self-isolation at the moment. Interesting times.
Yeah, it actually sounds it sounds really serious if you think about it. It's like I'm on lockdown. I can't get
Mhm.
out. But is it how do you feel about that? Like, are you going out to the super or do you have can you see anyone or what's your
Um,
routine like?
I think I miss the social connections a bit, like face-to-face connections, but otherwise I've been working remotely for a long, long time. So I haven't had like my own team around me or um, the people around me at the offices, they've constantly been changing. So during my working day, I don't really see that much of a difference, but obviously I think most people miss the social connections with their friends and people going to a pub or restaurant or so. So yeah, that's something that I can see in my normal daily life. Otherwise, I think everything is running, at least here in London, everything is running quite smoothly so far. There's not many real restrictions. They're more like recommendations for people to do and not to do.
Yeah, got you. And so, okay, let's talk about, let's give our listeners and viewers a little bit of context on
Hmm.
your product and your platform. Because I always thought that Flockler, which is the name of your social media aggregator, content aggregator platform for brands, was always a really cool idea and cool product and solved some problems. I know that when I was working in media agencies,
Hmm.
our clients always came to us with those type of needs because you had content on so many different channels, especially user generated content. But it
Yeah.
was always a real challenge to bring it all together. Also costly, right? Because you need the
Hmm.
hosting and the page and the content management system, someone to look after it. So here you come in with your product Flockler and you solve that problem. So can you just give us a little, rundown on how you got started with this platform?
Yeah, it's a it's a long story. Like for many of the startups, I guess many startups start from something and then end up building something completely different. We started in the beginning. We actually started helping media companies to gather content from Twitter. So during a live TV show, they wanted to show that okay, here's a nice tweet by an audience, or they wanted people to participate during Big Brother or other live TV shows, real time TV shows. Back then, when we started, Instagram wasn't there. Facebook was more like a walled garden for friends. I think it still is in some ways. It's a bit of a walled garden. Um, but we started with the media companies, but most people who follow media industry, they know that media companies are not doing that great, or at least they're going through a transformation period from print to digital. So we found that market quite difficult for a startup. It was like a long sales cycle. They're not typically buying a self-service product. They're more like buying like a project style product. So yeah, um, but during that time with media companies, we gathered experience on how you can use social media for your benefit to engage your audience. And then later on, when Instagram started growing really fast, we already had that experience. Okay, what are the best methods for brands or companies in general to engage their audience in creating content? And then I moved to London. I started asking different brands. I joined different accelerators, where the accelerators were connecting startups and brands together. And I started just simply pitching this idea that, hey, would you like to gather content from social channels? Would you like to display it on your website? Would you like to display it on a product page? And then one thing led to another over the years. And today we have 550 brands using the platform. They all use it self-service. They can use it on any of their websites, mobile apps, intranets, digital screens, anything digital, really. And it helps them to increase the time spent on a website. So if visitor ends up on a website, they spend more time when they find real-time updating social content. They can use it as a social proof. So let's say you have like a product page, you can display that, oh, here are other customers who are already using the service or enjoying the experience. And then a third option is, or third way of using it is to actually just gather the content and analyze what's happening with the content. So for example, you could gather all the reactions by your audience, all the recommendations, even the bad feedback, and then take a look at it. We analyze it. We take a look which posts are really engaging, what makes them engaging, and so on. So yeah, that's how we kind of we started with media and then learned quite a bit about the engagement bit, and then moved on to a brands focused business.
Mm-hmm. It's a really cool product, and I know that you have some pretty big names as well who are your customers right now. Metallica being
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah, that's actually the benefit of the free trial plus a self-service product. That it would have taken me years, or maybe I would have never got Metallica as a client. But because we have quite an effective content marketing strategy, we write blogs, we write content. Our Google ads are working quite well. We try to do some social media advertising as well, but that brings in people to test the product during the 30-day free trial, and then a certain percentage of those actually become our paying clients. And Metallica, Aldi, Deutsche Bundesbank, really big names, but all of them, although they're big names, they're quite the same as the small ones. They all have the same target. They want to either gather their own content and increase the time spent on site, or they want to engage their audience in participating in a competition or giving them feedback.
Yeah.
It's quite cool. It's like you can be a global service with like we're a team of 8 people, and we serve all the markets, big names, small companies, anything in between.
Oh, absolutely. Global small business.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about now. I think that I'm very much an advocate and ambassador for that. That's what my ambition is, and that's what I think that many companies can start to do, because now the tech is there. All you need is the idea and the energy, and the teams and the resources. You find all global, so it is possible.
Yeah.
And you're a shining example of that.
Yeah, also it's part of like how work is changing for people as well, like how people, what they think about work. Is it like my mom and dad, they've been in the same job for all of their life, basically. They've been working for the same employer, which is great, but there's a lot of people at the moment who want to actually just have like 1 year or a few years or very short period of time with one employer, and that's because they want to learn new things, or they want to change their career path really fast. I think it's something that is part of the society in general, that people don't tend to commit themselves for 30 or 40 years, and they change their location actively. Like you're in Bali at the moment. My company is not based in London. I'm in London, so you can kind of pick where work because of the technology and the fact that the businesses can be global.
Yeah, absolutely right. And so, I'm curious, in your opinion, what do you believe are the most important things now for Flocker to grow, and what is like the next phase in 220? What's critical?
Yeah.
What are the objectives?
Yeah, the objectives for us, we've been um, sort of trying to grow the markets where we've been performing well so far, but also opening new markets. So lately we've got a lot of about 1/5 or 1/4 of our clients are coming from the US, which wasn't true just about a year ago or so. We had a completely or more or less Europe-based customer base. So that's one change, and we try to get more clients from the US market. It's obviously a big market for us. There are some challenges because we're based in Europe, so we might need to set up either a subsidiary or expand our offices there. But that's one very logical step. In terms of product, we have there are a lot of new lot of new channels. TikTok is one that we're looking at. We're hoping that they will have a like official API at some point that allows us to integrate to that
Yeah.
one. We see a lot of growth potential there. The good side of our business is that the social media channels keep changing, both the current one and there's new ones coming up. So there's always something new for us to develop. It's more about the fact that we need to pick that which type of features we want to support and where we see the value for our customers. So
Right.
um, also outside the social media space, that are there other ways to engage your audience and gather more information about your customer? We kind of, although it's a social media aggregator, what we kind of what you can search us with that term, and or social media wall or so. That's what it is. But um, in our core, we're sort of a customer platform. So we gather a lot of content, text, images, videos from your customers, and all the customers or all the companies should be focusing on their customers. So we kind of see ourselves not only as a social media wall, but in the future we hope to be more like an engagement platform in general
Mhm.
for companies.
And what is your, you don't have to spill any trade secrets here, but what do you think are a couple of the ways, what is your thinking around the next wave of engagement? What does engagement mean in the context of customers and your product?
I think also there's a bigger picture of social media channels and their privacy issues,
Mhm.
and that might mean that partners like us, we might not get all the data that we used to get from them, or there might be future restrictions coming up that what type of content you can gather. You can never, in this business where we are, we can never trust the social media channels to keep the existing sort of flow of content because of the changes in the society as well. Um, Privacy issues is one that has been highlighted for a few years, especially after Cambridge Analytica and Facebook sort of
Yeah.
allowing people to download quite a bit of information about people. So in general, I believe there's more customers at least contacting us who would like to use other ways of gathering content, not just social. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't use social, but it means that they want to have alternative ways as well, where they have a bit more control over it. So I think we as a company, we're probably moving a bit more towards the old school reviews, although we're not going to compete with the review based platforms, but in general, I think moving finding other ways to engage with our customers is the key for future.
Mm-hmm. And so if you had a magic wand and you could use that magic wand right now in one area of the business to make anything
Yeah,
you would dream of happen immediately,
yeah.
what would that
hmm
be?
I don't I don't know. It's a you know as a person, I don't like to um, say that I wish that we would have done something differently. I'm not that kind of person. I'm always looking ahead for future and just realizing that okay, there's a bit of a past mistakes that we've done. But I think if I would have that, I would probably get rid of some of the technical depth that we've built over the years, and then just magically turn them into to match the knowledge and the information that we have today. We've learned so much during the years building this company that it's kind of it sometimes it makes you laugh or sometimes it makes you sad when you see that okay, well, we could have done this a bit better, but yeah, that's part of the startup curve. So I don't have one thing to change really, and I respect the fact that you always, as a startup, you need to make the choices according to that information that you have at that point.
Right.
Nowadays, when we're growing and when we have a bit more customers, we have so much data to rely on. We know exactly what features our customers are using. There's a lot of feedback coming through that, okay, we would like to see this, or this would be a nice feature, and so on. But when you start, you just need to test with a very limited amount of audience and then trust your instincts to kind of find the right feedback. You get a lot of feedback at the start as well, but not all of that is relevant. So you need to trust your instincts and yeah, believe in your idea up to some point.
Awesome. In terms of, you shared a little bit about, one strategy is like testing on a very small audience and then going with your gut.
Yeah.
So what's a cool strategy that you've used in the growth of your business that's helped to accelerate growth of revenue that you could share?
Yeah, I think the what we've always done with the for example, from tech point of view, we've always built the features in a way that we can just turn them on and off from a setting, basically. So just like a click of a button that okay, tick box off and then save, and then that feature disappears from either from all clients or from one client,
Mhm.
or it's enabled for one client. And
Yeah.
although it takes some more time to kind of build the features in a way that you can just tick them off and add them and remove them, the benefit has always been that we've been able to quickly test something with customers that we really trust, or those customers that are really keen on learning about new features and they're really advancing fast. So we've been able to test that with a limited audience and then listen to their feedback. And then some of those features we've only left with a couple of clients and realized, okay, it doesn't really work for a larger scale. It might be working for that customer, but it might be too much to maintain. So too many questions or too much support, or there might be like from resources point of view, there might be things that are not really, really good. So that's one from the tech development point of view. But if I go back to the start of the company and when we started this business, we what we always did was that we just created like a PowerPoint or a mock-up or anything that looked like the real feature, and then we just kept asking people if it makes sense, because sometimes you might have the right feature, but there's a lot of or right idea for the product, but there's a lot of other things that matter. One is your location, so where you are. So are you based in London or are you based in San Francisco? That's a big difference. Are you seeking, for example, funding for a business to business startup, or are you seeking for funding for a business to consumer startup, location matters, and the timing matters as well. So sometimes you might have great product, but the timing with clients or so it's not the right one. So yeah, I think you just need to keep testing with the light version, try to survive, and then then when the timing and location and the product match, then you find probably something that you can sell.
Try to survive.
Yeah, try to survive. I think that's the most startups. Although you always read about the startups that are going really well and they grow really fast. The reality for most of us is that you need to just try to survive that gap when you're trying to find the match between location and timing and product as well.
So interesting. And so obviously, talking about timing, we're somewhat living in strange times now.
Yeah.
Everything's changed really, really fast. And I know that in terms of my own B2B clients, there's a lot of questions. And, I feel like in times of uncertainty, people are looking for clarity. And the first the first intention might actually be to slow down and wait and see in terms of lead generation and marketing and activities. But what we're doing is actually we're recommending the opposite. We're saying to businesses, now more than ever is the time to double down in whatever you're doing. It's imperative to look at your strategy because your messaging will change. But there's a lot of benefits actually to activating a very high impact marketing awareness initiative right now, because you have more users, about 3 times more internet traffic, people working remotely, businesses are now going to change the way they do things. There's a massive opportunity. So just wondering if you had any thoughts about that and the impact of the economy in the next 3 to 6 months on your own product and growth.
Yeah, for our own product, I think there's two opposite trends in a way. One is that some of our biggest markets are like industry point of view are sports and travel. So those are really natural fit for us. They have engaged audience on social media channels. But obviously, right now, most of the sports is basically suspended for an unknown period. Some of the competitions have been moved for 1 year, like Euro football will be played 2021 instead of this year. Some of the travel companies, they need to close their businesses, unfortunately. The big ones will probably survive, but the small ones are suffering. So in general, there are some companies in our customer portfolio that are suffering, and then on the other hand, there are customers who need to be sort of communicating even more with their customers. That might be because their physical stores have been closed, or at least for now they're closed, so they need to kind of ramp up their online activities. There are a lot of customers with us that sort of general health or some sort of area marketing or cities or so, and they need to use our product even more than previously. So it's kind of like there are some customers that are struggling. Some customers actually might benefit from products like Flockler. But in general, like as you said, you said that there are more customers online at the moment, so there are opportunities for businesses to actually sell more through advertising and through innovative content as well. So I think there are winners and losers. If you just talk about the online business, obviously, if you talk about the whole economy, then it is already clear that there will be the GDP will not grow this year for countries. That's for sure. So there will be consequences in an offline, like in normal shops and travel and others that rely on the face-to-face communications or services that are done live. So yeah, there are. But an interesting, if we go back to the sports, that sports has been most of the competitions have been cancelled or postponed. I saw one team this week selling tickets to a match that does not exist, and they got a lot of people buying the tickets just to support their club. So you can be quite innovative in in times like this. You can sell some sort of a virtual experience or a yeah.
Definitely.
You can be innovative.
You know, like this is not the time to sit back and do nothing. And I've already heard like some businesses, some corporate businesses, they say, oh, you know, we're not doing the lead generation anymore. All the budgets have been cut or this and that. And I'm saying to them, listen, that's a bad idea. You know, you don't stop what you're doing, you change what you're doing, and you change it quickly. And that's a great example that you suggested as well.
Yeah, and so I think every time when there are difficulties, there's always opportunities for some businesses. I'm sure that we're using a teleconferencing tool today. I'm sure that there are many teleconferencing tools that are getting a lot of new customers these days. So there are some companies always benefiting from the from the change, and that change doesn't always need to be negative. It's usually a positive change. You can just capitalize on something that is changing in the marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, I hear the toilet paper companies and the face mask companies, they're making a killing.
That must be
in times of pandemic, they're very happy. So
yeah.
Toni, I'm gonna, thank you very, very much for joining me today on the series of Tech Traction, where I'm interviewing top, CEOs and founders, very progressive people who have devoted their lives to building innovative products with cutting edge tech. So I really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to get some time in the diary for a while. Finally, it's happened. It's been a great conversation. And thank you very much. Enjoy your 14-day isolation.
Thanks for having me, and keep safe and wash your hands. That's what we're telling our customers at the moment through live chat as well. So
yes, and drink lots of water. Drink water every 15 minutes, because apparently you can wash virus down to your stomach, and then you have stomach acid, which will kill it. So keep highly hydrated. This is not medical advice, by the way, but if you want to look it up, drink lots of water, wash your hands regularly.
Sounds good. In Finland, we have this theory of sauna, soap, and alcohol. It's not a medical advice either, but you can try that as well.
Alcohol, as in whiskey, or rubbing alcohol?
Usually, I think if you go back 60 to 80 years, I think the answer would have been vodka. But nowadays, it's more like a non-alcoholic beer.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a little bit less fun, I guess, but maybe fun for others. Hey, Toni. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, and all the best. Stay safe, and we'll speak soon.
Cool. We'll speak soon. Thanks for having me, and have a good one.
Bye-bye.